This week's episode 45, is brought to you by a Twitter suggestion from @KNKiger, who is a poetry-writing badass metalhead and has great taste in movies. If you have a movie you'd like us to cover on the show, we'll tell you all the ways you can get that suggestion to us at the end of the episode. Until then, enjoy number 45 of The Graveyard Shift, Horror, with Sheldon and Mike. Welcome to the Graveyard Shift Horror Podcast, where each week we watch a movie from the horror category and break it down into the good, the bad, and sometimes the downright confusing. We'll talk about the plot, some production details, and anything else we think is fun or relevant. I'm your host Sheldon, and I never worked Graveyard Shift alone. Please say hello to the guy that can't quit the show because I'll release certain pictures to the public if he does, my co-host Mike.
Hey everybody.
And how are you today, my friend?
Oh, pretty good. Watched a good movie. Can't wait to talk about it. How about you?
It's not the first time I've seen this movie. It was a while since I saw it because the movie certainly wasn't new when I saw it because it came out way before I was born. But I did catch it late one night on TV, probably sometime mid-'80s, and this is the first time I've seen it since then. But I was pleasantly surprised. I didn't think I was going to enjoy it, but I did. So, since we're already talking about it, why don't you tell everyone what movie we've got in store this week?
Today's episode is Back in Black, because we watched the Trilogy of Terror starring Karen Black and Karen Black, also featuring Karen Black.
That is right. So here's a little information on the Trilogy of Terror. Airing as a movie of the week on March 4th, 1975 on ABC, Trilogy of Terror is a made-for-TV anthology horror film directed by Dan Curtis and, as Mike just said, starred Karen Black.
With special appearance by Karen Black.
Musical number by Karen Black. So, it's based on 3 unrelated short stories written by Richard Matheson. Each segment title is the name of each story's protagonist, all played by Black, and include Julie, Millicent, and Therese, and Amelia. It has a runtime of 72 minutes, making it the shortest movie we've covered on the show. Since it was a made-for-TV movie, couldn't find anything about the budget or the profit, but I think we can all agree that the budget was not high. The Rotten Tomatoes score for this one is one of the most lopsided I've seen. It has a critic score of 90%, but an audience score of 56%.
Whoa.
Yeah, so some division there on how much people enjoyed this one. As for the plot, or should I say plots, the first about a college student infatuated with his teacher, the second a paranoid tale of 2 sisters, one good, one evil, and the third about an African tribal doll that comes to life and terrorizes a woman in an apartment. So, Mike, was this the first time you saw this one?
Yep.
Yeah, we both agreed that it actually wasn't bad. I'm not sure. It's hard to say what I liked about it, because if we compare it to some other movies we've seen, I mean, it doesn't have it's not complex stories by any means.
There's no tits.
No, there's not. There's nothing great about the actual cinematography or anything like that because, like you said, it was a 1975 made-for-TV movie. It's not like it had like a huge special effects budget or anything, but I don't know. I just really enjoyed watching it. Like, it flowed really well. It didn't beat around the bush or anything. Like, I guess it felt like there was no waste of time. Probably partially to do with the fact that it's only 72 minutes long. So,
as far as TV movies go, I think Frankenstein: The True Story had more gore in it simply because we got to see that guy dissolve throughout the whole movie.
Yes, but unlike Frankenstein: The True Story, this one didn't feel like a marathon.
No, I was able to watch it in one day. So, yeah, kudos for that.
I watched it in I don't know, like a bunch of 15-minute segments. So over the course of like 4 days, but still, it was fine. So before we get into the good and bad, I think what we should do for this, like the other anthologies that we've done, we'll talk about what we liked and didn't like about each segment, because they all deserve like to have a few words said about them. But since this is a 3-part anthology, I think that we should do a breakdown of each story as well, like just like the other anthologies that we've done. Do a complete synopsis. But here's what I'm proposing. One thing I notice about any other episodes we've done where we've watched an anthology is that they tend to run a little long, because we like to talk about each individual story, but we tend to I don't want to say waste a lot of time, but we go into, I guess, a lot of detail that's probably not necessary. So I'm proposing something new, Mike. How about something called a 30-second synopsis?
All right, I'm game. You go first, show me how it's done, and I'll try to follow suit.
Okay, so what we'll do, we'll put 30 seconds on the clock, and for each of the 3 stories, we'll try to sum up the whole thing in 30 seconds or less.
Oh, does that include spoilers?
Oh yeah, there's going to be spoilers.
Okay, so so we don't have to be vague then. All right.
No. Come on, this movie's existed since 1975. Like, if it spoils anything for anyone, that's their own damn fault.
Okay, I got my stopwatch ready.
Okay, so I'll take story 1.
3.
You can count me down whenever you're ready.
2, 1, and synopsis me.
Story 1, Julie. A guy named Chad is a college student, despite the fact that he's obviously 40 and also a creepy McCreepazoid. He convinces his lit teacher Julie to go on a date to a drive-in movie with him where he roofies her drink. He takes an unconscious Julie to a hotel room where he takes illicit photos of her, later using the photos to blackmail Julie into becoming a sex slave. After weeks of this, Julie says she's bored and reveals that she's planned this all along, as she's a serial killer and has done the same thing to several young men. Chad then dies from the poison Julie had put in his drink, and she drags his dead body into his darkroom, sets it on fire, and makes it look like an accident before moving on to her next victim.
Done. All right, that was 33 seconds, but I'll allow it.
Ah, okay, sure.
Okay, and all right, me.
Yep, let me get 30 seconds on the clock here. Nope, not 30 minutes.
3. 30. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Millicent and Therese. Millicent is some old biddy who is, an excellent case of good makeup, because she looks pretty darn old, and she... Okay, fuck it. Stop. Okay.
It's harder than it looks, isn't it?
I had to get rid of a cough.
No problem.
No, I'm keeping this in. I'm going to keep my fuck up for posterity. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Millicent and Therese, a story of two sisters who are at odds with each other. One is determined to kill the other. Well, they both are, but one is a little bit more determined, as Millicent keeps down in her diary how her sister Therese is terrorizing her. A psychiatrist comes over to visit to try to talk her out of this animosity she holds towards her sister, but it is to no avail. Millicent gets a doll, a voodoo doll, and fuck me. And she ends up telling the doll to, or like, fuck, okay, stop, okay, fuck this. I failed, alright, I failed.
It's harder than it looks, right?
It is. I'm not used to not talking.
I know. This
is outside of my wheelhouse.
I actually have my notes next to 30-second synopsis. Torture for Mike.
God damn you.
Okay, finish up the synopsis anyway.
Okay. So she ends up making a voodoo doll to finally kill her sister and have some peace. However, the peace is a little more than she bargained for, because the doctor comes in, finds Teresa dead, and pulls the wig off of her, revealing that Millicent and Therese are in fact the same person, one with a severe case of dual personality.
That's right. That was actually a really good story.
Okay. I don't even know if I want to play this anymore. You already beat me. Okay, so all right, 3, 2, 1.
Story 3, Amelia. Amelia, who we see has some mommy issues, buys an African tribal doll for her boyfriend that comes with a warning that if the gold chain it's wearing comes off, it will come to life and wreak havoc. The gold chain comes off and havoc is indeed wreaked. Amelia spends the next 10 minutes fighting off the attacks of the crazed doll and nearly gets sliced to death in the process. She finally kills the doll by burning it in the oven, only to be possessed by its spirit, and lays in wait for her unsuspecting boyfriend and badly in need of an orthodontist.
You made the time limit, but it was the mother.
Oh, she called her mother over? Really?
Yeah. Well, yeah, she hates her mom. She likes the boyfriend.
Oh, yeah. I guess I must have missed who she was talking to. Oh, wells. We both failed.
Yeah. Except I was the more spectacular failure. I hate this game. I don't want to play this anymore.
I'm taking my game and going home.
Screw you guys. I'm going home.
Okay, so that is the synopsis of the 3 stories. So we'll talk about the good and the bad with each. Now, when we say the good and the bad, it means anything we want it to mean, anything that we liked or didn't like, whether it's a specific line, specific scene, a character, or an overall, like something more broad, like an overall theme. Doesn't matter if we liked it or didn't like it, we'll talk about it. And we'll start with the good, and along with that theme of the good, we'll start with Mike. So Mike, tell me something good about Julie.
My first note is here, I had a fine time. Which was, this guy was very good at being creepy.
Oh, yeah. He really did, Chad. He really did play up the creep factor.
He lived up to his douchey name.
Mm-hmm. So that was, what was the actor's name that played Chad? I think I had it in my notes here somewhere.
Chad,
see if
Chad Michael Vincent?
Nope. I think it was Robert Burton.
Right, yes.
Him and Karen Black were actually married at the time they did this movie.
Huh.
So they're a real life couple during the time. I think they were divorced like a while after this, but during this time they were married. So he already knew what she looked like naked. He didn't have to wonder.
And he didn't have to take pictures and knock her out.
Yeah.
The prick. I'm sure he's a nice guy.
Who knows? Who cares even? So what I guess the best thing I liked about this one was the surprise ending. It wasn't a surprise in the fact that I thought that Julie was going to kill Chad. Just I didn't think I didn't suspect the other part of that this was her plan all along, that she's a serial killer that preys on young men.
The thing is, though, does she only prey on assholes, or was it just, she preys on anybody, and this guy just happened to be an asshole?
Yeah, that's a good question. Because, I can't see it being the same scenario playing all the time, that she preys on guys that, are willing to take advantage of women like that.
She just happens to bring out the date rapist in young men.
Yeah, so that's never really said if it's just, she's just got a bloodlust or she actually has, I guess if I'm calling her a serial killer, I guess she has a certain type that she goes for.
Well, she could be the one that, pretends to be weak and everything, and if a guy takes advantage of that, then she's just like, all right, fucker, you're on my list.
Yeah, maybe that's what she uses. She, presents herself in that way, so to see who kind of goes for it.
Yeah, maybe, if a guy is nice to her, and actually nice, then she's just like, oh, great, now I gotta break up with this asshole. I don't have a reason to kill him.
Yeah. So, no, that's, that caught me off guard. I had kind of forgotten about it, how that one ended. But it gets revealed, that's certainly not her first time doing this. She orchestrated the whole thing and was just playing along with it and kills Chad. Poisons him, not exactly, the best movie death we've ever seen. But,
The way he kept making that puke face.
yeah. But then we see, yeah, so she kills him, and then we get a glimpse at her scrapbook because she's cutting out a picture, cutting out an article out of the newspaper about the death, the accidental death of a college student, and putting it in her scrapbook, and we see just how many are on there.
It's a rather full scrapbook. It's about halfway done.
She's done this at least, it looks like a couple dozen times.
There's several like we're in the middle of a standard size scrapbook. So this isn't her first, second, third, or even 10th rodeo.
Yeah. So, she took out Mr. Creepy, so I say go Julie.
Yeah, and that's my good as well. Nice to see Chad get what he deserves.
Yes.
So
anybody that would do that, that's what they deserve.
Yep. And ladies, take that message.
Okay, the Graveyard Shift, Horror with Sheldon and Mike, does not condone killing anybody. Okay? If we're sending a message is, guys, don't be assholes and do something like that.
Because, as you would probably say, you have it coming. Or you are asking for it.
Oh, okay. So that was good. I'm going to say this, and this is going to carry through. I'll only say it once because it's going to carry through with all three stories. I liked Karen Black's acting. She played the lead role in all three of the segments, but she was also, I mean, I can see why. Like, she was the highlight of all three segments. She stood out amongst everyone else that was in the stories. Not that there was a huge cast or anything.
No, this was like an alternate title for this was the Karen Black demo reel, because we get to see her play demure, mousy, shrewy, catty, paranoid, belligerent, and just an outright terrorized victim. Mm-hmm. So this was a real chance to demonstrate her wide range of talent.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, another thing I learned about this while I was doing a little bit of research is that she actually she was offered the role originally and turned it down. It wasn't until her husband, the guy that played Chad, was going to be working on it, that she decided to take up the part. So
look, honey, you don't want me drugging and raping other women, do you?
Okay, so that's the good about the first story, Julie, and now let's talk about the bad.
Fuck Chad. That's my first bad.
Yeah, so we're putting him on the good and the bad list. I'm gonna I put him on my good list just for the fact that he played the character well. He was supposed to be a sleazy character, and he played that well. So good for him. Obviously, could play the character well. Not a bad actor. I guess I don't know if we want to call this a bad thing or put it on the other segment that we do, but this is supposed to be a college kid. The guy was 40 years old. I'm not even kidding.
And his friend didn't even look like a kid either.
No, by no means. Unless these guys have been in college for 20 years.
This was like the prequel to Dazed and Confused, where the guys are just like, yep, the older I get, the more these college girls stay the same. Mm-hmm.
Yes, do. Yes, they do. Yeah, so that was just right off the bat. I'm like, they start off with these two guys, sitting in front of college watching girls go by, and I'm like, so are these two teachers checking out the female students? And then I realized as soon as they start talking, I'm like, oh, these guys are students. And it's like,
I've been a student here for 20 years.
Yeah. I'm just imagining, if I was, somebody my age was sitting outside of college watching, girls walk by. I mean, like, I'd be escorted off the property so quickly. But yeah, that was such a weird decision. I'm like, you couldn't get somebody, actually college age, or at least look like it. I mean, there's nothing in Hollywood I know for to have actors, actresses playing roles where they're actually playing a role much younger than what they are in real life. And I mean, it's fine if you to do that if they actually look that age. These guys did not at all.
Yeah, they didn't get Karen Black's makeup department where, she actually looked like 40 in another segment, but no.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was just a weird decision, I thought. Did not like that. So, and like, I thought it was like when I read that they were husband and wife, I'm like, okay, so she was hired for this role and they really wanted her, and she put some pressure on them to get her husband hired for this part. I figured that's what happened. And I realized, like, no, he was actually hired first. So I think in real life he had some pictures of somebody. He bribed somebody with something to get that role. It's,
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just odd. I don't know why they went that way. It was a bit distracting, honestly.
Well, the guy's just like, look, as long as I technically don't graduate, my scholarship never runs out. So I'm going to milk it for all I can. I'm going to be a student for life.
Oh, Jesus. If my college scholarship did that, I'd still be in college now. So that's probably a good point. Okay, anything else for the bad list?
Like the Joker in me was disappointed when he brings this he's drugged her at the drive-in. He brings her to a motel because I don't know why. Like there'd be more privacy at her. Well, no, she has a roommate, so no. So he takes her to a hotel, and the clerk says, "Do you have any baggage?" And the guy's like, "Yeah, I got baggage." And the scene kind of like just cuts to another thing where he like dumps her in. But I just thought like, no, this was like a good chance to put a bit of levity in this and go, yeah, my dad's a drunk asshole and he hasn't forgiven me for not joining the military yet. And my mom won't stop telling me about her new sex life with a new boyfriend. My sister's dating a black guy to piss both of them off. And who has to hear the phone call every night after dinner when I'm trying to watch All in the Family? Like they dropped the ball on a good setup. And you know how I feel about letting a setup go to waste.
Yep. Nope, that's you cannot resist. So funny because I've got on my list as well, in my notes at least, about the hotel part when he checks into the hotel, and the clerk, the guy at the desk asks his name, and he says Jonathan Harker.
Yeah.
I've got literally at this point in my notes, I've got boo, no, bad writer, bad.
I don't know. I thought it was like a nice little homage to the Hammer horrors.
Well, I mean, it's to Dracula. I mean, like it's not citing like anything in particular, just related to Dracula, but I don't know. Like it was kind of. It's almost like if I was talking to somebody about a horror, like anything, like having a general conversation about horror, and someone like say me and you are out somewhere, we're having a conversation about horror in general, and somebody just comes up to me and goes, "Ah, I like horror, Dracula." That's what it felt like. I'm like,
so you felt the homage wasn't earned?
No, like honestly, it wouldn't have come off any more awkward if he had like looked at the camera and winked.
Yeah, horror movies, huh?
Yeah, we know horror movies. So yeah, I did not like that part at all. I may have threw a grape at the TV at that time. Okay.
Who earns?
Exactly. So, anything else for the bad?
Nope. I'm ready for the WTF of this one.
Yeah, well, I've kind of already used my WTF, so mine was like a bad WTF, so you go ahead.
when he makes his intentions clear, and he says, "You're like I'm gonna blackmail you," and she goes, "I'm gonna tell people you drugged me," and he says, "Oh, you have no proof I drugged you," and I'm like, blood tests?
Oh, I guess maybe, I don't know. Maybe they hadn't. Maybe she didn't know what a blood test was. Who knows?
Yeah, but anyway, this takes.
I mean, it was
us to
1975. What was a blood test? Getting like leeches to suck like the bad blood out of you if you had a case of cholera or something? I don't know.
And so, yep. The next
Yeah, that's
one
all I
is-
got for that one for Julie. So all in all, what did you think of that story in particular?
The subject matter made me uncomfortable because, like, this is just like the skeeviest shit in the world.
And it still happens now. Is the thing.
Oh, to see it happen then.
Yeah.
I mean, to think that it was that prevalent. Like, I thought, like, oh, like these like modern knockout drugs are, like, people are using that now, but no, that this shit was available back in the fucking 70s.
Mm-hmm. No,
And who knows how long it really was.
Yeah. And I mean, this kind of thing, this subject matter, it should make people feel uncomfortable. Like that. This, like I said, this is stuff that happens now, and it's so much easier to do it now. So yeah, like I mean, that's guys, don't be idiots. Just
Don't do that.
Okay, so the next one.
If you end up getting poisoned, it's your fault.
Should get his. I don't condone murder, but you know,
You make a good case for it.
you make a good case for it. And I don't condone murder, but you know, sometimes castrations are earned.
You know,
Okay.
if you wake up with your testicles on your chest and your scrotum is stapled shut, then you know you're not dead. You're just not, you know, live by the sword, die by the sword, kind of thing. It's pathos. Figure it out. You've heard us talk about pathos before. You had it coming.
Okay, story number 2.
Millicent and Therese, or
Millicent.
Therese.
Race. Okay, so this is about like we said in the
In my
synopsis,
fucked up fumble.
a story about dual personality syndrome. So the good about this one is, again, I already talked about Karen Black's acting, but playing 2 roles in this one that were completely, holy shit, different. I mean, one of the roles she played was very similar to the one she played in the first part, Julie.
Yeah, mousy and demure.
Exactly.
But also looking... What did I say she looked like? She looked like Jeffrey Combs?
You said she looked like Jeffrey Combs in drag.
Tell me I was wrong.
You know what? I don't think... I mean, we've seen lots of people playing like dual roles in a movie, but I don't think anybody looked as different as Karen Black did playing these 2 parts. Holy crap. And when you think about it, I mean, you even see at one point, you know, wig coming off, wiping off lipstick. So it was that was basically the only change, and she looked totally different. It was pretty amazing. So what I've got first for the good is, other than, you know, Karen Black definitely showing some acting chops, just a story about dual personalities. I think split personality is something that fascinates me. I think like the movie Split is one of the coolest things ever.
Never heard of it.
No, it's on our list, so you will.
All right.
Somebody has suggested it, so I've always had a fascination with multiple personalities. Just find that is such an amazing thing to me, that somebody can have like all these personalities in their head, and they actually, you know, take basically take turns controlling controlling the body. It's just fascinating, and
like the fact that you're a prisoner, not in your own mind, but in your own life.
Yeah.
That time will be taken from you, and that your life has been lived without you.
Yeah. And it's one thing, I mean, when it's something that somebody is aware of, that they have these other personalities. And because I've heard of stories like that, too, where some people are completely aware that they have these personalities, that the personalities the personalities basically know of each other. But you get a situation like this, which happens quite a bit, too, from what I've read, is that the personalities know of each other, but they don't realize that they're the same person. They think they're two completely different people. And in this story, we've got, this happening, a woman with dual personality, and the personalities are sisters.
And the sisters don't get along.
No. I'm like, that's such a good story. It's like a, oh my God, it's like very Twilight Zone-like. So, yeah, enjoyed that. Like, just the story. Anything with this type of thing, evil twins or multiple personality type stories, I'm probably going to dig it. All right, so what do you got on your good?
My good is just the makeup. The prudish old biddy looks old, despite, like, we never established, like, if she thinks they're twins or, like, if there's, like, an older sister or a younger sister. But this one, like, she looks old.
Yeah.
Like, 40, 50, and, like, an old spinster. And then when she shows up as Therese, God damn, sexorific. She ends up, yeah, what did I tell you? The love child of Velma and Fred from Scooby-Doo.
I put her down.
Seriously, she looks like she's got, like, Fred's white shirt and Velma's, like, orange skirt. Or, like, well, Daphne has, like, the skirt, but it was purple, so.
Yeah, well, Velma's got the orange skirt, right? So it fits.
She does have a skirt. I know she has a sweater.
Yeah, sweater and skirt.
Oh, well, yep. So, like I said, Velma and Fred. Like, Fred got a little, he got tired of Daphne, and he wasn't safe with Velma, and there we go. We got this girl.
I've got on my notes when we first see Therese is, yeah, and it said, here comes Karen Black in her Hooters waitress cosplay. Wow,
yeah.
She looked good.
I didn't even know it was her.
No, that's what I said. Like,
the first part, I was just like, oh, so this is another actress. Like, I was telling you when I was watching this, like, I have a feeling that these two are the same person. And then when I saw her show up as, like, Vilma, I was just like, okay, maybe not.
Yeah. No, that's just what I was saying is, like, basically she put on a wig, like, sexier clothes, put on a wig, put on some lipstick, and she looks like a totally, totally different person.
It's good makeup and good acting.
Yeah, definitely. So that's pretty much it for it. Like, I've got, like, once again, Karen Black, good acting. She looked amazing. Good story.
Oh yeah, and she was acting like a real flirt, like, yeah, just to show, like, the different personalities. When the therapist comes over at the prude's behalf, he finds the sex pot there instead, and she's been drinking, so she's putting the moves on the doc, and I like, that guy's got as much willpower. Like, I probably would have done the same thing as him. But, being hit on by her, I definitely would have been like, how much do I really value this doctor-patient confidentiality thing?
Yeah, I'd like to think that I'd stay professional, but who knows? That's a tough situation.
I won't tell the ethics board if you don't.
But, I mean, I guess it's not only that, like, being her doctor. Like, I mean, he knows the situation as well. So.
Yeah. Oh, shit. But there's one guy that doesn't know. The first guy that shows up, he ends up asking, yeah, where's Therese? And she's like, oh, she's not here right now, but you shouldn't see her. She's a terrible person. She, she's just shit-talking her, and this guy's buying it. Like, he honestly did not know Like, he thought that they were just sisters that are never in the same room together.
Yep. He had no clue. Could not, he could not tell that that was the person that he had, like, all this fun with the previous night was the person he was talking to. So, yeah, I don't know. I guess because what we're seeing, of course, is not what you're going to be what you would see in person. I don't know if I'd be able to tell the difference, but it was convincing at least. Okay, so anything else for the good?
Nope, I'm ready for the bad.
All right. The bad that I got, I mean, like, the way I guess that it played out, the way that both of them died, you know, for lack of a better term, I'll say both of them. Was that really necessarily, like, the way, did they have to do it that way? Like, bring in the whole voodoo doll thing?
Yeah, like,
that just seemed weird to me.
It was a psychological thing, and then they throw magic in the end. Like,
yeah.
What?
Like, it wouldn't have been, to me, like, it kind of like, okay, because I know she mentioned about, oh, she's into, like, voodoo and devil worship, and fuck writers that think, like, those things are the same thing. But,
yeah.
Anyway, again, 70s.
Yeah, but, you know, having an interest in occult books doesn't mean that magic is real.
And I think I'm going to give them some credit, and I'm going to think that it was probably, like, you know, that was a result of the attitude of, like, a prudish person, like Millicent was. That, you know, she's prudish and mousy and probably, who knows, probably a Bible thumper. And so if somebody has, like, a book about something like that's like something like magic, and that means they're evil and they're a devil worshiper.
And you're going to forsake your God and read the book and use what's in it.
Exactly.
You're not going to use Jesus magic. You're going to use devil magic.
But I thought that, like, that just seemed, like, unnecessary, and it kind of took away from the effectiveness of the story to me. I think it would have been more effective if she said, you know, finally called the doctor and said, no, I'm sorry, this has gone on far enough, she can't be trusted, and say something like, hey, she was going to poison her drink or something like that.
Yeah, or, even better, hired a hitman.
Oh, now you're talking. You should get a contract on. So just imagine you got dual personality, you don't know it, and you take out a contract on yourself. There you go.
Either that or, like, set up a trap or, you know, poison her drink. Like, oh, she likes to hit the bottle. Then she ends up, like, taking a syringe, putting it in the wine bottle, and she'll be like, fuck her.
Exactly. I don't know, like, the whole, that, I did not like that part. Like, that seemed unnecessary, and it took away from the story, so I'm going to knock off some points for that.
Yeah, and my bad was that I could see the Jekyll Hyde thing pretty early on.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was,
Like, they could have telegraphed it better, like, if they were, like, yelling at each other through the wall, and you could hear voices or, like, banging.
Yeah.
You know, even if those noises are just in her head, if we're hearing, like, if we're letting her be the narrator, at least that would, you know, take us a little bit longer on the journey for us to be like, oh, shit, she's just imagining it.
Yes. Or even, like, something, because one of the things that she showed, you know, the boyfriend at the beginning was a picture of her sister and her father. Maybe, like, I thought what would have been cool to kind of emphasize that would be when you see the pictures, you see both of them, both girls in the picture.
And then when the doctor goes later, when they're dead, the picture only has her in there.
Yes, only shows in each picture that we saw previously, the same picture, but had two girls in it. Now each picture only has one of them in it.
Yes, the unreliable narrator.
Yes. It would have thrown him off, because that's how whichever one of the personalities was looking at the pictures, they always saw, like, both of them in it. So
this could have been done so much better, and without any increase in budget.
Yeah, like 2 minutes in, you knew right away. I mean, still a great story, don't get me wrong. It's just that, you know, it wasn't a surprise at all.
A good premise, but lacking polish.
Yeah, for sure. Now, for this one, didn't really have a what the fuck for me.
Mine
at
was,
least.
mine was the voodoo worked with wig hair.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I mean, you think like if she's gonna like use voodoo to cast the spell, that the doll would be like, do you want me to like kill a Raggedy Ann? Like this is doll hair. What are you giving me here?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true enough. So yeah, I didn't. That's a good point. Yeah, that death by voodoo. So that's a good one. Because you know what, that should have been a bigger shock to the. That should have been a bigger shock to the doctor at the end. Like, what? What? The voodoo doll killed her? Is it just power of suggestion, or just does voodoo actually work? I mean, I think like, dude, you've just like stumbled onto a whole new field of science right there.
Yeah, why the fuck isn't he surprised? He's just like, oh, she killed herself with a voodoo doll. That poor girl. Instead of like, oh shit, magic is real in this world.
Yeah.
This woman killed herself with it. Motherfuck. We need to call the papers.
Yeah. Or just, oh well, I guess I'm just going to take all of these occult books and now go make a fortune.
Yep, I'm going to go become a contract killer. Or something. Like, again, like, magic is real. You think, yeah, he would be taking those books and like, guess what? Career change, bitches. I'm going to be a warlock.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, exactly.
And it turns out I don't even need their real hair.
Yeah, that's yes. Okay, there's a what the fuck. She made a voodoo doll using hair from a wig, apparently. Oh man, this okay. Maybe there was some what the fucks in this thing. All right. Okay, so we've covered the good and the bad and the what the fuck for story number 2. Now into story number 3, Amelia, and this one is by far my favorite of the 3.
Oh yes, the star of the show and got the most goods.
Oh yes. So this is the one, of course, like I said in my synopsis, about the lady Amelia, again played by Karen Black, buys an African tribal doll that's supposed to be possessed by, what was it? Possessed by a hunting spirit?
Yeah, it's a Zuni fetish doll.
Ooh, okay. Well, we know what he's hunting.
Hmm.
But yeah, love. I mean, such a simple story, but I freaking loved it. This is the way that you do a short story. Very Tales from the Crypt like. Supposed to be possessed by an actual tribal spirit, and the only thing that keeps it from activating the doll is a magical gold chain that's wrapped around it. And of course, the chain somehow just falls off. We're not even sure what happens.
It's probably because it's made with actual gold, which is very soft.
Maybe that's it.
So she fucked with it and broke the clasp.
Yes. So I do remember this one. Of all the stories, this one is the one that I remember the most about seeing it when I was a kid. And this is the one that actually scared me.
With good reason. That doll is fucking terrifying.
Holy shit. Okay, so right off the bat, I'm going to say for my first on the good list, the doll itself. First of all, it looks fucking crazy. It's got like a big giant head and a big gaping mouth with with something that looks like actual shark teeth.
Yeah, it's like if the Cheshire Cat was a fucking demon.
And it's running around like a lunatic. It's got a spear, which it loses quickly. Then like just gets like a steak knife and starts chasing her around. Oh my god, it just was crazy. It's making fucking craziest sounds.
Oh, the noise, the voice work on that doll.
It just sounded like an insane person. It's the same sound that like some like homeless crazy person would attack you, and the same kind of sound it would make. It's just so good.
The cat lady from The Simpsons. It's
It's like If like the cat lady from The Simpsons and Bobcat Goldthwait had a baby. Oh my god. So yeah, I love that. I got to say that right off the bat. And as soon as it came out of the box, I'm like, oh shit, yeah, that thing. And then I was like, okay, I won't be taking any breaks in this one. I'll watch this one from start to finish. Just so good, and just played up like the easiest little thing. Anybody that's got any kind of like artistic skill at all could have made this doll, but still, it was so effective. And yeah, that freaking little totem doll, whatever the hell it was, loved it. I'd love to find like a little miniature of that somewhere. Okay, what do you got for the good?
Some of the dialogue, like when the lady's talking to her mom, and she goes, "Well, Kevin and I were hoping to spend the evening together." like she doesn't want mom to know that she's putting out.
Yeah, this lady that's at least in her 30s is afraid to tell mom that she's actually getting some.
Yeah, I'm hoping to partake in some intercourse.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no. Like, you gotta shield unrealistic mom's expectations. Like, you exist, so the lady knows about sex.
So yeah, that was pretty good. I actually enjoy it. She's just having like this. She has this like 5-minute conversation, like just with her mother. So it's just Karen Black just like monologuing to herself, basically.
Yeah, and it works. Like, you can just see from her reaction, like, this mom is such an overbearing narcissist.
Oh yeah.
And you can see like pain in her, like she's just in the way her voice cracks. It's just, here we go again. Like, I moved out and I still have to deal with this. Why can't I be free?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why can't she be the mom I need instead of the mom she is?
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, that's some real feelings. So that's good TV right there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was good. Another testament to Karen Black's acting, and
excellent writing as well.
And again, Karen Black looked so good in this segment.
Oh yeah.
Damn yeah, she was a very attractive lady. Oh boy. So, just the story and all, like I said, that's just the good for me. Just the story. It's so simple. It works. Like I said, reminded me very much like I was watching like a Tales from the Crypt episode. And once again, even though I did remember, the most detailed bit of this one, again, this one had a story that caught me by surprise. I didn't think that's how it was going to end. I thought you were going to get the typical horror movie type of ending where you think the thing is dead, but it makes when it probably in like 1970s like TV style as well. You think it's dead, it'll like pop up at the last moment, and you get like a freeze frame ending of this thing, like making like its final strike. But nope, that's not what at all happens. She actually does kill it, but then we find out something, because you've destroyed the doll, you haven't destroyed the spirit that possessed it.
No, you've only destroyed the container. Now the spirit is free.
Yes, so poor Amelia, after destroying the thing, gets possessed by the same spirit that possessed the doll. And now she is this...
Yeah.
She's now the vessel, I guess.
Oh, yeah. And, like, you see her walk to the phone, tell mom, like, oh, yeah, by the way, Kevin's not coming over, but how about you come over so we have our Friday night? And then she walks up to the door holding the knife, squats in front of the door, starts stabbing the floor, and you think, okay, well, maybe she's just psychologically damaged. Mm-hmm. Like, she's just had a rough night, and she figures, this would be the best night to bump off the old lady. Like, I'm out of my mind. I'm never going to be this free.
Yeah.
But nope. Then she gives this smile with piranha teeth in her mouth. And you realize, oh shit, she's actually physically transformed. She is the new vessel.
Mm-hmm. And it says something about the spirit as well, because not only does it like possess this her body now, but like it can be pretend to be her, like speak like
Yeah,
her,
it speaks.
has her memories. So yeah, I would like to seen like that would have been great. I would have liked to seen an extended bit of this and see her mother show up and Karen Black chasing her around the apartment, making the same sounds that this freaking doll was making when it was attacking her. This is like the worst episode of the Muppet Show ever. But yeah, it's reminded me of Gremlins a lot too. Like they had like this. This could have been a scene right out of Gremlins. Like just imagine like a gremlin with a freaking knife chasing somebody around. So yeah, definitely by far like enjoyed the whole thing. I think the stories got progressively better. But number 3 blew everything else out of the water.
Yeah, and what I have to say is just like the Foley work. Like when you hear that thing's footsteps on the carpet or like the linoleum in the kitchen, like you believe it's not like, oh, we're just like going to be like tapping some sounds by the microphone. Like it sounds like a little object about a foot high made of wood is walking along these surfaces.
Mm-hmm.
Like the sound work they did was fantastic. Even like with the maniacal Bobcat Goldthwait on PCP sound effects of the doll, like it worked. It didn't feel like, oh, this doll is being over the top.
Yeah.
Like you believe that this doll is the embodiment of like just frenetic chaos and malicious intent.
Absolutely.
And this may have been the inspiration for Evil Dead, because we get to see some fantastic camera work.
Yes. Okay, now, remember when we watched Puppet Master? And there was a lot of scenes where like some of the characters are getting chased by the puppets and you're seeing everything from the puppets' point of view?
Yeah, they're level.
Yeah. And remember how one of the things that we kind of ragged on it was that like the actors weren't reacting very well to like their actions didn't reflect what was happening. Like they didn't react well to being chased. They didn't seem very panicked or anything like that. Like they weren't trying to defend themselves in like the right type of way. Like it was obviously like just somebody following them around with a camera, and like they were not reacting like that. Like I mean, they tried, but they didn't try very hard. Obviously,
yeah. Like they kind of just said like, "Oh, look a little startled or surprised." Not
yes.
Like, don't look as if like an inanimate object is moving around on its own.
Yeah. Karen Black, on the other hand, man, she responded to this perfectly. She looked frazzled. She was panicking, trying to escape, like doing real fall downs the way somebody would if they were trying to get up and run while still being kind of off balance from falling down. And so like they did this really well. The whole sequence of anytime she's being chased and this thing is like slashing at her with a knife, just done really well.
Oh yeah, and this is like is about as gory as it gets, but you get to see like realistic injuries.
Yes,
like, this thing's like trying to stab her tendon. Obviously, it doesn't work because she can still walk and stand, but it's trying. Yes,
that's the other thing I have in my notes. The injuries actually look real, not like overdone. Not somebody trying to run with like half with her foot halfway cut off or anything like that. Tiny cuts, like it would have been like if he killed her, it would have been like death by 1,000 cuts. Because he's just got a steak knife and he's just like making small cuts, like he was like attacking her viciously, but like he was trying to savor it as well. Like he wanted the hunt to last. Because I mean he threw away his spear, which probably could have killed her pretty quickly if he impaled her with it and went for like just a normal kitchen knife. Yeah, so she gets like lots of small injuries, but she reacted to them accordingly, and they looked real. So yeah, so all in all, like very well done.
Yeah, and even that smile she gives at the end, like again, amazing makeup. Not expensive makeup.
Yep.
But it didn't look like they just like glued chiclets in her mouth.
Mm-hmm. Yep. all the way through. Like, well done. Okay, so we gushed over this one enough. Let's talk about the bad.
You or me?
You can go ahead.
Though I felt that, like, as great as this was, I felt it was missing one thing: a face-off with a cat. If she had a cat, and this thing went after the cat, it would have just been great to see, like, the cat try to swat at it, hiss at it, kick it. Like, it just would have been great to see something its size fight it.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's funny you should mention that, because even in my notes during the attack scenes, I have my notes here. This reminds me of being attacked by a cat. Because I've been there, and this is kind of what it's like. You got this fucking, like, crazy, absolute lunatic tiny animal coming after you. It's, like, full of tiny blades and teeth. And even if you manage, like, to grab it and, like, hold it away from you, then that just means your hands are now being, like, completely shredded. So, yeah. Very much like a cat attack. Very similar. I'm like, I got my notes, like, much like a cat attack. And I was like, holy shit, it's going to be the equivalent of being killed by a cat. So, yeah, that would have been pretty cool if there was, like, a cat, like a literal cat fight. So, I didn't have much for the badness. Like I said, this one was pretty well done. Little tip, though, for anybody that's in a situation where if you're being stalked by something holding a knife trying to kill you, and it's trying to cut through the door with a kitchen knife, the best course of action to try to get away is probably not trying to grab the knife by the blade.
With your fingers.
Yes.
Like, at best, maybe tongs or a tool of some kind.
Well, I'm not even sure what grabbing the knife is going to do anyway, because it's not like you're going to pull it away from the attacker through the door. I think the handle's going to stop it from sliding.
Oh, what would she? No, when she was trying to grab it, it was cutting through the briefcase.
Oh, was that when it wasn't? I think she grabbed it when it was coming through the door.
It was cutting through a suitcase. It did have the knife through the door, but she just slammed the door on the arm and it let go.
Oh, okay. Maybe I'm getting those two scenes mixed up. Okay, yeah, I do remember she tried to grab it as well when it was coming through the suitcase, which, I mean, I guess there was a hole in the suitcase. She could have grabbed it and pulled it through, but...
Well, you only got the blade. I mean, you'd have to pull the handle through, and that would be wider, and you'd have a real struggle on your hands. Not to mention that it would be grabbing the handle, twisting it, slicing your fucking fingers to ribbons. Like, that would be at best, like, if you had, like, tongs or some kind, because she wants to stop it from cutting through, so there is, like, an urgency, like, I need to grab this fucking knife now, because he will... Like, he would have been stuck in that suitcase if he didn't have the knife.
Yeah.
Like, it would have been great if he didn't have the knife, then she would just, like, slap, like a stamp on it saying, like, Abu Dhabi, and then throwing it in the...
Like somebody just like throwing it in a post cartoon or something.
like Garfield.
Yeah, so...
Like, hey, just think she could have stopped, like, any war. You just send that to the war zone and just send it to Russia. Boom, Cold War's over. Yep. They have to spend all their resources trying to figure out what to do about this fucking doll. Take that, Red.
Yeah, it's like... I don't know. Like, I was just shouting at that scene, like, when he's cutting out of the suitcase. It's like, okay, flip the suitcase over and grab something else to put it in. Look for something he can't cut through. And I did put in my notes at this point, find something to burn him. And then I got to the oven scene at the end of this one. I said, oh, never mind.
Well, that backfired.
Yeah, I would have been possessed if I was in that situation, because my first thing was like, okay, get something to burn this thing. It's made of wood and straw. You can burn it.
Okay, if we're going to talk about bad, this isn't in my notes, but I just remembered it. She tried to drown it in the bathtub.
Yeah, she sure did.
I mean, she should not have survived this long.
Yeah.
She wraps it up in a tea towel, and then dunks it in the bathtub, and she tries to give it like a mandatory baptism. And then she throws it in the oven, and this is the bad that I did write down. Even if you manage to survive fighting the doll by destroying it, it just possesses you, so no win?
Yeah. So I guess there's no win in this situation.
I mean, unless you could find a way to, like, take anything around the house, like a gold necklace, like a slightly bigger one, and wrap that around. Like, is it just the gold on the doll, like, because it's enchanted, or is it just, like, because gold is a noble metal, that if you did that it would sedate the doll?
Or is it just that one particular chain that it had around it? It's like that, like a magical chain that's the only thing that can, make it dormant.
Yeah, I mean, she's a woman. She's got a jewelry box. She probably has some gold bands or bracelets or something. You could have wrapped that around the thing and tried. I mean, they made a big point of saying, like, this is the lock.
Well, I thought
this is what enchants it. Or
yeah, well, I mean, the chain, like, I don't, correct me if I'm wrong, but I got my notes. Find the gold chain and put it on it. Like, the gold chain just fell off of it, right? Like,
it would seem broken. Like, I think that's why it fell off.
Okay, but
because the clasp broke.
Okay, but I just got try to put the chain back on it.
Yeah,
as far as I could tell, it just fell off. So
at least try that.
Yeah, but no, it didn't even go back to that. So had to put an X on that one.
Yeah.
The only what the fuck I've got for this one is just the doll itself. It's like not a bad what the fuck because I got the doll in my good category, but just again call back to it. The look, the sound, like holy shit.
Yeah, it's a good what the fuck. Mine is this store has a great sales model. Sell a doll that will kill your customer. That will if they lose a gold chain or if they have kids that are gonna fuck with it, because seriously, who would take that warning seriously?
Yeah, really.
Although I do suppose that this would be a good thing that you could sell to mobsters as a way to fuck up your enemies in a way that would never be traced back to you.
Mm-hmm. I've got in my notes, it's where the fuck did she buy this doll? Was this the same place that Homer went to in the Treehouse of Horror when he bought the the evil Krusty doll? Did she get Did she get a free Frogurt with it?
Hey, pal, you make sure to leave this setting to good.
Maybe that's what she should have done. Look to see if there was a switch on it.
See if there was a peaceful Zulu.
Yeah, her mother comes over and she's makes it to go make them tea or something. Okay, so that's it. That's Trilogy of Terror overall. It's an easy watch. It's on YouTube, so easy to find. Go check it out. I recommend it. So this was a good suggestion. And our friend on Twitter sent us this one, so thank you very much for that. Okay, Mike, I'm completely stumped. I know what I would pick for this segment, but it's not my segment, so I'm very curious about what you're going to pick for it.
I got my hands full for the kill of the week. And I gotta give it to the Easy Bake Oven of Death.
That's what I picked. Thank you for that.
I mean, just the puppet work. Again, I cannot stress how good the puppet work was on this thing. Seeing it flail around, attack, they did not make it look like, oh, we're just gonna have this marionette drift along the floor. They made it look like it was running around. This was before CGI, and even though there were limitations, as you could tell by the close-ups, where they're basically shaking the doll around, but when it's attacking her, they nailed how to make it move and work. And when it gets thrown in the oven, a lot of it is obscured by smoke and flame, but you're seeing enough as it's banging against the door, and black smoke is coming out of the oven. It is just fantastic to see this little fucker get his comeuppance.
Yeah.
Until she opens up the door, and then she just like screams and falls back. And I was just like, wait, what? Like, as far as possessions go, it didn't even look like you think that she would be like grabbing her head and like breathing hard, like get out of me or something, but just looking at fire and like fainting backwards. It just seemed a little confusing. But then we find out, like, apparently, if she just kept the door closed, the spirit would have been contained to the oven?
Or would have possessed the oven, maybe. So, yeah, I guess so, because nothing happens until she opens the oven door, so...
Yeah, just think, if she left it alone and just, I'm leaving my fucking apartment and never coming back, I'll just live with my mom until I eventually kill her.
Yeah, that's it.
Or I can just get possessed and kill her now.
Okay, so that's it, man. Yeah, good choice. I'm glad you picked that one. That's exactly what I would have went for, because definitely the most exciting death in the movie. So,
oh yeah, well, Chad going duck face with his poison. Just while it was a well-deserved death, I was just too busy laughing at the faces he made when he's like, he's just got that look on his face, like when you take two Pringles and you put them in your mouth and you're like, hey, look at me, I'm a duck. Like, that's basically what he was doing.
Yep.
And then death by suggested voodoo. Because you don't even you didn't even have to give the doll real hair, and the doll's just like, message received.
Yeah. Okay, close enough. Yeah, so good stuff. Okay, guys, that is Trilogy of Terror. Thank you again for the suggestion. That was from at KN Kiger on Twitter. Took us a long time to get to this one. This one was suggested a while ago, but guys, it's only because we've got so many movie suggestions on our list. We're trying to do them in order, and sometimes, we've got special events coming up that we need to, there's certain movies you need to watch, so, but don't worry, if you got a suggestion on the list, we'll get to it. And speaking of suggestions, if you have a suggestion for us, or you've got some questions, comments about this week's movie, did you agree, disagree with anything we had to say about it, anything you'd like to add, anything that we missed, you got a few options for getting in contact with us. First of all, you can reach out to us the old-fashioned way by sending us an email at graveyardshiftpod@gmail.com. You can follow us on Twitter at GYS_horrorpod. You can follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/thegraveyardshiftpod, and now we're also on Instagram. So just go to Instagram, look for the Graveyard Shift Horror Pod. You'll find us there. If you're feeling particularly generous, you've got some extra cash floating around, maybe you just cleaned out your couch cushions and found some coins there, you can help out the show with its financial costs. You can go to www.patreon.com/graveyard and make a donation there. And you get instant gratification because for as little as $1 a month, you get to help out the show, but you also get immediate access to all of our exclusive bonus Patreon content. We put new Patreon-only episode up once a month, so check that out. You've got 9 episodes on Patreon right now that you could be listening to at this very moment if you're a Patreon donor. So go check that out. But of course, nobody understands what it's like to have no money like me and Mike do. So we totally understand if you cannot make any financial donations to us, but you can still help us out a ton. Best way to do that would be to go onto iTunes, rate, review, subscribe. If you're not an Apple user, you can subscribe on Google Play, Stitcher. The Podbean app, whichever way you find our podcast. I'm sure there must be some kind of rating or subscribing system, so if you could give us a rate or review right there, that would be great. And if none of those options are available to you, then share us on social media, whether it's Twitter or Facebook, what have you. Share us. And if that's not an option, share us by word of mouth. If you know somebody you think will be interested in listening to a couple of guys talk about horror movies, let them know about us. I'm sure they'll appreciate it, and we certainly will appreciate it. So, Mike, other than the Graveyard Shift, what else do you have going on?
You can check out the Playing with Power podcast, where me and a bunch of friends read each and every issue of Nintendo Power first to last, front to back. We talk about the artwork, the games being covered, the contests, the comics, so much goodness inside. And on that same feed, you can also hear us, me and two other guys, play Nintendo games on a little mini podcast called The Taste Test, where we just get to enjoy all the old NES games that we missed as youngins. And that was the first time that we really got to do skits.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just so eager to bring that over to the Graveyard Shift, and this is where I cut my teeth on it. And our latest episode is going to be Ninja Gaiden, coming out soon.
Can't wait to hear how you guys take that one on.
And then Dick Tracy with a very good skit. So that's fun. And then I also am currently bringing back Technobabble on the Geek Fallout Productions Facebook page and iTunes. And that is my very first podcast, which is about science and technology. We talk about all the amazing breakthroughs and how they can either help the world or hasten its inevitable fall.
Mm-hmm. Good stuff. Yeah, if you want to see how Mike got his start into this crazy world that is podcasting, check that one out. It's a good time. I'm enjoying it. So, and I want to mention another podcast too that you don't have going on, but your co-host from Playing with Power, Ben, has a new podcast as well. And what's that one all about?
Repeat One. It is like a nice 3-minute blurb of him talking about an artist or a song or an album that resonates with him. And it's a nice little musical appreciation podcast with a nice 10 or 15 seconds of the song at the end. Mm-hmm. Just so you can get a sample of what it's about and not violate fair use policy.
Yeah. I'm a music nerd, so I'm going to have to check that one out for sure. I haven't done it yet because I kind of only think about it at the end when I'm listening to Playing with Power podcast. I kind of, like, as soon as he mentions it at the end, I'm like, oh yeah, I got to check that out. And then I completely forget about it. But sorry, Ben, but I definitely will check that one out because I think that'd be very interesting. Okay, guys, well, that is it. Thank you again for joining us. Like I said, check this movie out. Just go to YouTube. It's completely free right there. The whole thing's there, so it's easy to find. You have no excuse. I recommend it. So that's it for us. We're going to be back next week with a brand new episode covering a brand new movie. But until then, I'm Sheldon.
And I'm Mike.
And thank you again for joining us on the Graveyard Shift.
Yeah.